Well, I'm back again. So I've been riding this thing. It's a 650 Versus, or not a Versus, 650 V-Strom. And the thing's beat all to pieces. So all the plastics on this side got ripped off. And, you know, when I first looked at it and saw pictures of it, to be honest with you, it's like that thing looks like a friggin' moped. And I didn't really like the way it looks, but man, the more I ride it, the more it is really growing on me. I just like the bike. I enjoy riding it. It's fun to ride. It just kind of hits all the spots that I like on riding. So, you know, I just got this one this past week, and this is what I've been riding, and it's been a fantastic motorcycle. I really do like it. I've added, you know, the lights to it, windshield, the top box over here, done a few other things. So, you know, but mostly it's stock. I use these seat cover things because I ride for hours at a time, sometimes 4, 6, 8 hours. And, you know, I've had this thing since August or something like that. And I put almost 10,000 miles on it. It's just shy of 10,000 miles now. And without this, I could ride the transalp for 30 minutes and my butt was sore. This thing kind of spreads the load, and it's been awesome. It's amazing. It looks stupid, but it's amazing. It makes me able to ride the bike. So it makes it tolerable to ride where I'm not just squirming like crazy. Thing is, this one, and if you look at the way the seat's designed, you've got a nice seat to sit on. It's cushy, where that one's hard. I can sit on that seat and ride for hours and hours and hours. It's the stock seat. I don't need to add anything. It's just comfy. It's comfortable. It's easy to ride. I can still stand up on this bike if I want to, just like I can the transalp. I do have the plastics that go here coming, so that'll pull this over. It'll cover that dent. And then I've got to get this somewhere. I'm having trouble finding the other side of that. But I think that's all I need to kind of bring all this together. I did add LED lights in here. You can see the little LED bulbs. And that really made a difference. Now, again, so this is stock headlights on this motorcycle. This is a 2015. The other one's a 2024. And the stock headlights on this, even the halogen ones that were in it, were brighter and covered more of a space. So this one, as it is, when I'm riding, so like if you look out here on my other one, you got a strip of light like that. But you didn't really see much. But if you see the amount of light that's coming out of my shop right now, that's about what this one does. And I can see out that way, I can see out that way, and I can see pretty far that way. So if deer are coming through the woods, I can see them with the stock lights that are on this bike. So, I mean, if I'm getting motorcycle for motorcycle, stock for stock, hate to say it, I spent a lot of money on the transalp. I spent something like, what was it? Almost $10,000 on that bike, brand new. And it was one of those deals where my dad really pushed me to get that one. And I'm glad he did to some degree, because this one wasn't on my radar at the time. I was looking at the KLR 650 was one of them that I was looking at. It was like, okay, what if I get that? Well, I've since seen a couple of them. I've read some reviews. They are more off-road focused, and you know, it's a single thumper. It's just not for what I do. I think they are good bikes, and I would actually like to have a KLR 650 at some point. But for what I do, I'm on the road most of the time. 90% of my time is on asphalt, and some of it's gravel. Some, I'll go up to my dad's, and we'll go down gravel roads and things like that. Well, this bike will do that all day long. No problem. It is a fantastic little bike. So if I had it to do over again as somebody spending money, so when I wrecked my Africa Twin, I had about $11,000 that came from that. And I basically used that to buy gear and to buy that transalp. So I was able to buy a new helmet, buy I tore my jacket up. I tore a bunch of other stuff up. So I essentially replaced the gear that I tore up, and I bought a new motorcycle. But technically, I kind of downgraded. I went from 1,000cc down to a 750. But the transalp versus the Africa Twin, from what I've seen, for daily driving, I prefer the transalp. It's a great bike. Nimble. It's just a fantastic bike. It really is a good bike, and I can't say enough good things about it. Now, the bad things, the things that really bother me about this bike, is the stupid traction control. It has dumped me in sand twice. When I ride this bike, you have to turn off the traction control. You can't turn it off and leave it off. So the Africa Twin was a 2016. You could disable it, and it was disabled. Every time you got on it, you could just push the little button, and it was disabled. You held the little button down, and basically it turned traction control off, and you could ride. So like if I went to my dad's, he's got this gravel driveway that's real loose. On the Africa Twin, I could just, as soon as it cranked, hit the button, turns it off, go up the driveway, no problem. On this, you just fight it up the driveway because you have to turn the key on, go into a menu, which you have to hold a button to get into the menu, scroll over, drop the thing down, go back out of the menu and save it, and then you can ride without traction control. But then if you turn the key off, well, guess what? It's back on. I don't know whose bright idea that was at Honda, but you're a freaking idiot. It's the dumbest thing. It kind of kills the bike, because here's kind of where I'm at. As far as daily driving, this is probably going to be my new driver. This is probably going to be the one that I ride daily. I like this bike. I actually enjoy riding it. Now, part of that is I've done a lot of work on this bike since I've got it. I spent hours taking all this crap apart and figuring out how to fix it and stuff like that. And I think there's what do they call it? The sunk cost fallacy. I've put a lot of work into it. It actually becomes more valuable to me, I think. But the last Saturday, I was on the transalp, and as I was riding to my cousin's, on this one in particular, I have this little doodad right here that tells me my tire pressure. Well, the sun was hitting this screen, and I couldn't see it. So it was just glaring off of it, which normally it's just not a big deal. I'll glance down and check my tire pressure every so often, but I just couldn't see it. Well, unbeknownst to me, this tire was going flat. My tube had a pinhole in it. It wasn't a puncture from outside. It was just the tube rubbed inside somehow, and it created a problem. So as I'm riding, I noticed that something don't feel right. I look down at the road, and it's like, oh, it's kind of rutted out. So that's probably what I'm feeling. But I was like, you know what? Just in case, I'm going to hang a right over here. So I was going about 30, and I hung a right into a big parking lot. And about the time I did, the tire came off the rim, and it literally, you could feel this end just go that way. And I rode on top of the tire on the edge of my rim, How I kept control of this thing is absolutely beyond me. It was like, holy crap, I'm going to die. So, this bike has been a highway bike for me. I ride it on the highway more than I do anything. And a lot of people are like, well, why do you ride this kind of bike? Why not get a cruiser? I don't know if you've ever ridden a cruiser. I had a Honda Shadow. I got on it and instantly disliked it. When you sit on and I looked it up, I started researching some of this stuff, and essentially, at least from what I've seen, that type of bike is the safest bike that you can get on. I've talked to several people that have ridden motorcycles for years and years and years. If you get on like a cruiser, they're lower to the ground. Most people, like if you lose it on a cruiser, they'll slide and they'll catch and they'll catapult you. Most of the people that I know that have wrecked on these, they slide into stuff, but they don't get catapulted off the bike. I was also on the Africa Twin and hit a deer at 75 miles an hour. And I honestly believe that if I were on a cruiser, it would have turned out completely differently. I was able to stop or slow down quite a bit before I hit the deer, because the Africa Twin has dual disc brakes in the front. And everything I've seen, you can stop 20 to 30 to 40% faster on a bike like this than you can a cruiser. So everything that I've seen, I can feel the road in this type of bike. So this and the V-Strom, the way they ride, the angle of rake, the way the bike handles, it feels natural to me. It feels like an extension of my body. I know how to lean, and it's just like when that tire blew out on me, I somehow saved it. I have no idea how I did, but somehow I kept myself upright and didn't wreck the bike. So the thing is, that does have me a little bit shy on tubed tires. That's one thing about this bike that I do not like. So when I got it factory, the light absolutely sucks. From what I understand, they've fixed a lot of this on the 2025 model. The light sucks. So I added these, and that was a fantastic addition to the bike. I'm glad I did it. They've been great. The Road Sync app for your phone, so I usually put my phone right here when I'm riding, it works, but leaves a lot to be desired. So on this bike, the Road Sync app, it goes on your phone. As soon as I turn the phone on, for one, it immediately jacks up. Like if I'm trying to navigate somewhere with Google Maps, it overtakes Google Maps. And then I usually end up having to completely shut out of Google Maps, get back into Google Maps, and do a bunch of crap. It's dumb. And then the voice dialer, one thing I really do like about it is you can control everything through this little joystick thing right here. And that's great. But like if I want to voice dial, I have to hit this, and then I have to hit it again, and then it'll say it, whatever, the name after the beep, and then I'll say it. And then I usually have to fight it 5 or 6 times, and I might get a voice dial out. But usually it's faster for me to just use my fingers and do it that way. So that's one pet peeve. They should have, instead of using their own stupid little voice thing, let me just hit a button and it open Google. Open Google's voice thing. So like, let me call on the voice dialer on my phone, Siri or Google or whatever phone you've got. Let me do that. So that was one pet peeve. The seat is really not that comfortable. If you look, it's not very plush. It's like sitting on a 2x4, which is why I've done this. But as far as the bike is concerned, it's got plenty of power for me. I do miss the Africa Twin sometimes, as far as power goes. But I think it's a really nice looking bike. I do like the bike. But then I got the V-Strom, and the idea was I want to get a decent enough bike that my buddy can ride with me when he comes. And it can be a spare. Like if something happens to my transalp, I want something that's somewhat comparable to where I can still ride. If I've got to take that down and do a bunch of maintenance or something like that, I want to be able to hop on another bike and go. And that's where this kind of came in. It was cheap. It was $2,500 is what I paid for it. And I've since seen these for, $3,200, $3,500, and actually far better shape than this one. So, they had all the plastics. There's one for, I think, $3,250 that's got 5,000 more miles on it than this one does, but it's got full luggage. It's got everything works on it great. I think it's got heated hand grips. It had brand new tires on front and back. I was like, dang it. So, but my plan is to actually find another one of these at some point. So I'm going to save a little bit more money, find another one, and end up with two of the 650s. But what I've kind of come to the conclusion of after riding this one is it's super comfortable. Does it have as much power as the 750? No, it doesn't. Does it have power where it counts when you need it? Yeah. From what I can tell, this has 11 foot-pounds of torque less than the transalp. And what I'm finding with this motor, and again, this is a motor that people really love. It's a great motor. People have got $150,000 miles on these motors. So this is a very well proven motor. Another thing that I really don't like about the transalp is when you're sitting in traffic, it gets up to 220 degrees before the fans even cut on. And they might say that that's okay, but I don't care what anybody says. You're cooking your motor when you get to those temperatures in a motor. And a lot of it's the EPA and stuff like that. Well, this one predates some of those laws. It runs cooler. They have a really nice radiator on them. I can sit this thing somewhere and it can idle and it never gets hot. It's built. Anytime you can run lower temperatures, your motor is going to last longer, and that's been proven by these motors. So this is something that I can run, and if I maintain it and keep it, well maintained, which is another reason I want two of them, so I can have one down maintaining it and one that I can ride, then this motor is proven. I'm not really sure about the transalp. If it's running at those temperatures, how good is that on the motor? What kind of longevity am I expecting? I know what this does. The transalp is kind of new to me. It is a good motor, but running at those temperatures, that just seems like a recipe for stupid problems at some point. So I like the fact that this one has a well-proven track record. Another thing, the seat on this, I do have a luggage rack coming for it. This one didn't have it on it. You just put your key in right here. The seat pops off and it pops right back on. You've got a ton of storage under the seat for this one. So I've got a box, and half of my box is taken up by tools and things like that. Most of those tools can go in here. Now, speaking of tools, this uses tubeless tires. So here's the thing. If this uses tubeless tires and that uses tubes, well, I've had to buy a boatload of different tools for the tubeless tires over there. So let me just go show you some of the stuff that I'm carrying on this bike because it is tubeless. I might have to take that tire off on the road if I get a puncture or a pinhole or something like that. I'm going to have to take this wheel off. Well, what does that mean? Well, I have this thing to jack the thing up. This is the most minimal thing that I've found. It basically sits over here. You use the kickstand in combination with this, and you pick your bike up, and you're able to get this off. Is this the best option? Probably not. And it's cumbersome, and I'm adding weight to my bike at this point because I'm having to carry this these are tire spoons and bead breakers. So I just bought those. Those are 80 bucks. And if you look in here, so then I've got this, which is to take the axle nut off. I've never actually used this to do that, but hopefully it'll do that. I also carry an extra tube, so there's more weight. That's actually kind of heavy. All right, so I've got that. I've got a tube patch kit right here, and then just, you know, random tools, different things that there's baby powder for the tube. You know, some more, what do you call those? Something for the valve stem. So that's more or less, and then I'm actually replacing these with those, the aluminum ones, but these are the tire spoons that I was carrying, and I just got these in to replace those. So that's a lot of stuff that I've got to carry on this bike in case I have a flat. And I'm carrying one tube that fits the front because you can put this in the back and get it home. But if I want, you know, they're two different sizes. This is just oh crap, I got to get home, and I can put it in the back tire. So that's what I've got there. Now, with this motorcycle, I'm actually still building a small kit for this one, but what do I do with my keys? Okay, under here I've got these. They're patch thing. They go into the tire, and they're like a little screw. If you've got a Phillips screwdriver, or in my case, I carry a multi-tool, and you find a puncture, you literally screw it into the puncture, and it's got some goop on it, and it seals it up. And then I've got a tire pump like this that I can use. That's a pump and a jump box and like a thing you can plug in to charge your phone. So for 40 bucks is what I spent for that. I can screw that in, I can pump it up, and I'm done. I'm off the side of the road. So think about this in it's cold, it's rainy, it's whatever. I can pop this off, get to those things, screw it into the hole, take this, pump it up, put it all back in, get on the motorcycle, and get out of there. What, 15 minutes? Maybe, if that. Where this one, I'm taking the wheel off on the side of the road. So that's part of it. But then also, if your tube collapses inside, that comes off the rim. It is a catastrophic failure. I should have wrecked when it did that. Where this one, tubeless tires typically don't do that. Yeah, you're going to lose some control over a full tire, but you're not going to lose that amount of control that I lost with the other one. So with this bike, I actually ordered this for my transalp, but I couldn't find a good place to mount it. I've got a mount coming that goes here, gives me a bar, and that's where this is going to end up living. So this is going to go up here, but I needed somewhere to put it. But this will do. It's got the TPMS sensors on it. So I've got, where are they at? On there somewhere. Go over to this side. Yeah, a little TPMS sensor. And this is a great big screen, and it's going to show me my pressure here, and I can set alarms, and it's something that's big, and it's going to be here, and I'm going to be able to see it. This also wires in and gives me video front and back, so it DVRs. So, you know, say somebody runs out in front of me, I've at least got some recourse to show what happened. But if I would have had a motorcycle like this, I would not have bought the transalp. I hate to say that, because I got so much money in the transalp. But if I could go back, take the money I put in the transalp, I would buy 2 of these and all the gear I needed. And I would have still had money left over, because you can get these for $35-ish, $100. And I don't care. I'm a function over form every single day. So this, I don't give a crap about this. I fixed this. It was all busted up. I used a hot stapler, went through all these plastics and fixed them, took all this apart, fixed it. This was sort of loose because it wasn't really held on well. I fixed that. So a lot of this stuff got fixed. But riding this bike, it's just as fun as the transalp, and it's a fraction of the price. Now, what I'm considering doing is finding a 1000cc version of this. They have an 800 too, but everything I've seen, in all reality, there's not that big of a difference between this one and the 800, and most people that I've talked to that have the V-Stroms seem to like the 650 better. The 1000 is going to give you a little bit more touring capacity and things like that. So what I'm thinking is keep these fairly minimalistic. On my Africa Twin, I had a top box and 2 side boxes. So I had a top box that was a little smaller than this one, and then 2 hard cases that went on each side. And I filled them all up. When I go to see my dad, they were all full, and I still had a bag strapped here. And, you know, I would bring tools, I'd bring tubes, I'd bring all the stuff, because I'm 4.5 hours from the house. So I would like the capability to do that. But here's the thing. It's kind of a pain to do that all the time. I don't really want them all the time. So I would almost rather have multiple bikes that kind of fit different roles. And what I'm thinking is this is going to end up being my beater loaner. It's already kind of beat up. I'm going to fix it, but I'm eventually going to buy another one like it. And this is the 2nd gen. It's the 2015. I want to find another 2015 or thereabouts bike that I can, that maybe is a little bit better shape, that has the bags. And then this one's going to be sort of my loaner, or I'm just going to ride it to work back and forth, because it's nimble, it's small, it's quick, it's, you know, fun little bike to ride. You think about, these are roughly the same weight as the transalp, I think, but power-wise, I can't see a difference. I love this bike. I do have a deflector I'm going to stick on top of this to see if I can get rid of some of the wind that hits right in my face on this one. I fixed that with the transalp, but I would have had to have done that with the transalp or this one. I had to buy a new motor or a new windscreen for the transalp to get rid of it. So it'd be the same thing with this one. But man, if I'm just getting started in bikes, I want an adventure style bike. I do believe that they are safer. I don't like the cruisers. I don't like the Gold Wings. I don't like those styles of bikes. Honestly, to me, if I'm on a Gold Wing, I'd rather just be in a car, where this one is just fun and nimble, and you can get in and out of traffic so easily, and it turns really easily. And the tubeless tires are a big thing for me, because I'm not carrying all those tools that I have to carry with my transalp, and I'm off the side of the road a lot faster. So if I'm on the road, I'd rather ride this one. So here's kind of what I was thinking. I'm going to take a bath on the transalp if I try to sell it now. I would. If I could get my money out of it, I would absolutely sell the transalp right now. But what I was thinking is this thing really was made more for off-road. I've considered, when I go to change tires next time, go to a 50-50 tire on the front and back. And what kind of kills that is I'm going to have to disable the stupid, what do you call it? Traction control every single time, which really sucks, but it is what it is. Where, again, another great advantage, some people may see it differently. This does have ABS, but you can disable it with a fuse. And it does have no traction control at all. And I'll be honest, power-wise, this one gets its power mid-range and just kind of has a really flat torque curve across the board. Where the transalp, you got to run it up. It's sportier. Now, it will roll if you want it to roll. It's got plenty of power. But going from the Africa Twin to the transalp, it was like, man, I do miss some of that power. I like the nimbleness of the transalp. It's a great bike. But I do miss that 1,000cc power that I had with the Africa Twin. That thing was just a rocket. If you wanted to pass somebody, if you were behind like 4 trucks going up a mountain, I could just blow past them on an Africa Twin. I don't have that power on the transalp. It still got power. It still runs great. But there was a pretty significant margin of power between the two. Going from the transalp to this one, yeah, there's a little bit of a difference, but not enough. And for the money you spend on this one, for the comfort that you have, for not having tubeless tires, which, you know, if I put tubeless rims on my transalp, you're looking at around $2,000 by the time I get them to the door. Well, I spent $2,500 on this whole motorcycle. I can't justify that. That's ridiculous to me. Why wouldn't they have done that from the factory? Give us the option of tubeless rims. But they didn't, so this is what we have. So, but this bike probably will be the beginning of my new setup. I'm going to find one more of these, and I'm probably going to buy the 1,000cc version. And I get that 1,000cc back. I get that oomph back for a 1,000cc bike when if I want to go on a trip or whatever, I have the option. But I've also got a really nice, comfortable seat. If I bring one of my kids or somebody, they've got a really nice, comfortable seat. So, you know, call me crazy, but I would rather drive this one than my transalp in 90% of the situations I'm in. I enjoy the bike. I really like it. So if you're on the fence or if you're looking to get into an adventure bike, which seems to be more expensive for some reason than a lot of the other ones, check these out. I absolutely love the bike for so many reasons. It's just a good, solid bike. Is it the sportiest thing? Is it going to go, you know, triple digits down the highway? I guess you probably could. I'm not going to do that. That's not what I bought the thing for. I bought it to go wherever I want to go and have a good time doing it, and that's what this one does. And it actually looks better in person than it doesn't in pictures. It doesn't look like a moped to me in person. You can feel the quality on a lot of it. It's got a good build quality. So for the money, I think it's great. So, and I've got a rack coming. It was like $70. So that'll put that back on it. I've got the plastics coming for here. This one piece that's missing here was $85, and I can get one of these. I'm just trying to find one in blue if I can, but you know, even if I have to paint it, I can get one of these for like $60. So, you know, $85, $60. My plastics are put back together, and this bike is mostly intact again. I think $11 for all the fasteners to go in here, which I've got that on order as well. I've got a tank bag coming that will go here. I've got heated gear, but I don't like the way this is set up, so I'm going to redo that. I'd like to find a new switch gear for over here. But, speaking of that, so this thing is all the things that I do. Now, I don't like this one, and I've ordered a new version of this off of Amazon, and I'm hoping this will work. If you've got thick gloves on, the buttons are too small, and it's kind of hard to get the one you want. But with this, on this bike, I can just hold this down, and it pulls up Google's voice assistant, and I can say, hey, call so-and-so, and it does. Or I can say, hey, navigate to wherever, and it does. This came with this, and it's basically useless. I don't know why they even bothered to add this. They should have made these buttons customizable, but they didn't. The buttons on this, when you're in app or CarPlay or Android Auto mode, are like that big. So gloved hands suck. So if you're going to make these, either give us some physical buttons that will actually do the things we need to do. This should have these features on it, along with others if you need them. The one I've got it's got all these features. The volume is a knob, and then it's got forward, back, up, and different things on it as well. And it mounts like this one. So I'm going to replace this one at some point and eventually find a new version of this. But this is still better in a lot of ways. And the simplicity of this bike is really nice. I don't have traction control. I don't have a lot of the features and things to go wrong that I do on the transalp. So for whatever reason, I feel better riding this. I feel like it's just a more robust bike in a lot of ways. And then if I go to the 1000cc model down the road, and I've seen those again for $3,500, $4,000 with 30,000 miles on them. Well, with these motors, that's not something I'm worried about. I've seen reviews where they got 80, 90, 100,000 miles on them. Well, shoot, man, for the money, I'm perfectly content with that. I'll do the maintenance. I would rather, for what I've spent on my transalp, have 3 of these and I can just swap them out and ride whatever I want to ride. I could set one up more for 50-50 tires and do harder. I've seen people off-road these. I don't think it's really what it's meant to do, but at the very minimum, this will go down fire roads. This will go down dirt roads. This will go down things that maybe the tires aren't set up for it, but neither is my transalp. My transalp is more like these tires. This is probably more 90-10. I've got 80-20s on my transalp, but you get the idea. I could put the same tires on this and get the same basic traction out of it. And even better, this isn't going to spin in sand or will spin in sand. It will give me the ability to use my own abilities in sand instead of the traction control cutting power exactly when I need to have the power and then dumping me into a sand pit. So, if I go to my cousin's who is surrounded by sand, I can take this bike and I'm not worried about it. I can ride right in it and I can control it. So again, I like the bike. I am really enjoying it and I can't wait to get 2 or 3 more. And if somebody wants to buy my transalp, hit me up. So, the transalp is a fantastic bike. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, if I had it to do over again, knowing what I know now, I would have bought 2 V-Strom 650s and a V-Strom 1000cc. And that would have really covered what I wanted to cover better. And I would have had an extra bike to loan to my friends if they wanted to go with me. And I would have just, it would have given me the setup that I really wanted to begin with. I am going to get some heated grips like these for my V-Strom. And I'm going to, once I get the thing that goes on the back of my V-Strom, I'm going to get another box like this probably, but it'll be a smaller one than this one. If I ever get the 1000cc, then that will go on it along with 2 side boxes as well. But, it's been a great bike, and I know I'm a little bit gun shy of the tubeless or the tube tires now, but I've also put between this one and the Africa Twin, 13,000 miles between the 2 of them this year, before anything really happened with my tires. I had a flat rear on the Africa Twin, and it was just something punctured the tire and the tube, and that wasn't really that big of a deal. And then I had this one that was that close to really getting me hurt. So, and I know people are doing the tubeless conversions where they're sealing the inside and they're putting tubeless tires on them, but these rims were not made for that. If your tire ever loses pressure, your tire's coming off the tube. I think the rear is a little different, but the front in particular, that was a catastrophic failure, and it was just it was the grace of God that I didn't crash and really get hurt. So one thing you might want to look at is if that happens, if you start seeing your quick shifter flash, and speaking of quick shifter, that's one thing I love on this bike that the V-Strom don't have. It's not that big of a deal, but man, it is so nice. I mean, you can just boom, boom, boom right through your gears. It's really effortless, and sometimes it's easier in some ways. But once I started driving, I still prefer the V-Strom. Even with the quick shifter here and that don't have one, I still like the V-Strom better. So either way, if you're doing the tubeless conversion, be very careful. That's a scary thing. So either way, that's where I'm at. I love the bike. It's a fantastic bike. It's great. But again, if I could go back and swap to a different bike tomorrow, if I could take the money that I put into that transalp and put it in the bank and then go look, I would have bought one of these. And then I would have bought another one of these. And then I would have found a 1000cc version of one of these. And that would have been my fleet. That would have been my happiness right there. So, and honestly, I could have bought one of these. I could have bought a Honda 300L for dirt. A used one. I saw a 300L Rally for like $3,500 that somebody was selling, which is a steal. But for what I spent on that transalp, I could have covered more. I've got my Hawk 250 for dirt that my uncle's borrowing right now. I do want another one of those at some point, but not a Hawk 250. I've seen some other ones like the X-Pro Templar that are a 6-speed and some other, so I'll go that route with those. But if I had the ability to do it right now, I would pull the money back from the transalp, buy two of these, 1000cc, and you know, I might have spent $500 more, or I might have spent $500 less for 3 different motorcycles that could have fulfilled 3 different roles for me and would have given me an extra bike to loan to friends and all that. So, you know, there's that. This one also, I noticed the other day, has lowering links. Where are they at? Right there, installed. Which is cool. That's like a $200 lowering link from what I can tell. So when I get my next one of these, I'm going to actually lower this one for my shorter friends to enjoy. So when I loan it out, they can ride one that's a little bit lowered, which will kind of help them out a little bit. But yeah, it's a great bike. I really like it. So if you're on the fence about a V-Strom, buy yourself a V-Strom. And if anybody is still here 43 minutes in, congratulations. Have a good day. Bye.